In the pet food industry, conversations concerning agriculture and quality are extremely difficult to find. For a pet food company to be willing to have these conversations is almost an anomaly. Grass-fed and grass-finished animals, along with regenerative farming and CBD, and why those topics matter, are curious topics many consumers want to know more about. In an industry focused more on marketing and using waste as main ingredient sources, one Colorado-based company is expressing the need for a revolution.
I like to say that if I had the discipline of my dog, I'd look like Michael Phelps. I also believe that as humans begin to learn more about the food chain and what they're putting into their bodies, that it becomes more relevant to their animals as well.
Anderson's Pet Food is located in Colorado. Their approach to pet food is gaining new fans every day.
We've become very disconnected from from the food chain and species appropriate food, biologically appropriate food. We started with Savory Gardens almost 2 years ago. They grow incredibly high quality hemp.
Savory Gardens is a fully vertically integrated CBD company. We are a rare breed in the CBD world. We all came around from the cannabis movement and wanting to grow quality plants and realized that in growing a small crop of incredibly high quality plants, we could make a small crop of incredibly high quality medicine. As Savory Gardens have always worked to align ourselves with brands we feel like share our values and guys that really understand and know quality first, customers first. In Anderson's case, it was pets first. We just brought the CBD oils that we use for people and created a pet line with us. I really like that we're able to get more out into the pet community. I think CBD has an amazing amount to offer for the veterinary, pet, and pet family community out there. My favorite part with Anderson's was that they understood and worked with us in the beginning to understand that quality from the ground is what matters.
Before looking at the approach taken by Anderson's Pet Food, it's important to understand the long, torrid history of how most dry food companies formulate their foods. Most major pet food companies currently approach formulating their diets by choosing ingredients from what is known as the AVCO manual. Rice, corn, soy, wheat, and other starch-based ingredients are the most controversial ingredients since dogs and cats do not require any type of starch in their diet. Furthermore, most of the ingredients in the AVCO manual are not food-grade ingredients, they're feed-grade ingredients of questionable quality. Dogs and cats, however, need energy, and many companies use the energy excuse for the excessive use of starch ingredients such as corn. But in a properly formulated fresh food diet, it's actually adequate fat that supplies the glucose or energy requirement for dogs and cats. Anderson's utilizes the top-tier, more biologically appropriate ingredients in their formulas. Anderson specializes in and manufactures the pasture-raised proteins of beef, lamb, pork, elk, and bison. They use all the cuts of muscle meat, organ, and fat in their diets in an effort to avoid waste. Ribs, tracheas, tendons, scapulas, and kneecaps all become chews. The chews are rich in glucosamine and chondroitin. The bones in chews are full of healthy fats and make for a natural toothbrush.
My name is Bill Parker, and my wife and family own Parker Pastures, a grass-fed beef and lamb business. Our current industrial model is subsidized by our government, by our taxpayers. Why are we growing so much corn when these corn farmers are getting paid less money than it costs them to grow it? A non-sustainable system is being allowed to happen through some sort of subsidization that, as a grass farmer, I don't get. If we would take away all the agricultural subsidies in this country, I guarantee you regenerative agriculture would be on top. It would be the biggest thing going.
The motto of Anderson's is wholesome and humane from pasture to palate. That starts with the raising of the animal at birth, all the way to processing. When we are bringing in animals, we are ensuring that those animals have lived in a pasture, that they've never had hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. These farmers have no shortcuts. They're in symbiosis with the land. They believe in what they do, and they're good to the land's good to them. It's a very symbiotic relationship.
As humans, we don't think we should be a part of nature, but we are part of nature. Humans are an integral part of nature. With regenerative agriculture, we actually participate in a process that makes the earth better and more abundant, and then we all have better food to eat.
At the end of the day, it's all about sourcing and doing things the right way. And I feel like as long as we continue to do our due diligence as far as bringing in clean animals, humanely raised beef into a clean facility, then we don't have a lot to fear.
It's an ordinary day at Kinnikin Processing, a local butcher shop where community members come to buy their meats. The team is busy finishing the processing of their human food under USDA inspection. Right after their human food processing, the same staff members produce Anderson's dog and cat diets using the same pasture-raised, grass-fed and grass-finished ingredients.
We source our fruits and vegetables from all local farmers in the valley: Hotchkiss, Palisade, Paonia, Olathe, Montrose. Ben Del Tonto means everything to Anderson's Natural Pet Food. Ben's a hardworking individual. He takes pride in his work. He's comfortable in his zone. I mean, the way he handles a knife is like watching a professional in any industry doing what they're best at.
If you buy a beef from us, if you buy a quarter or a half, everything's coming off that beef. The burger, the steaks, the roasts, it's all the same. It's all the same quality. Same way with the dog food. That's why it's so important, I think, that we use whole animals in the dog food. Everything's the same. So if you buy a batch of dog food, it might have 1 or 2 beef in it, but it doesn't have 40 or 50 or 100 different animals in it. Then we can trace ours back to that day, if there was something happened, to figure it out.
We're talking about in a bag of our beef patties or bulk or sliders, we're talking about 1, maybe 2 cows at the most in that batch.
It started off with an immediate growth pattern and has continued to grow. People just can't get enough of it. I think people really don't trust the big pet food companies anymore. They have this immediate distrust of pet food companies now. So they want to work with companies that are small, that are local, that the owner is in here on a regular basis putting food that he made into that freezer.
We as independent small companies need to work together to educate, to make the consumer demand that animals are treated humanely, that produce is grown properly without pesticides, that we're not putting synthetics into our food, that we're not taking shortcuts, and that we're doing things the right way.
You get what you're paying for. It's real food you're paying for. You're not paying for the fancy commercials with wolves. You're not paying for shiny bags. You're paying for real food.